Welcome to Two Guys Discussing Software.
Two Irish guys.
Two Irish guys discussing software, and thank you for joining us today. This is the Original podcast, where we're going to discuss everything from third-party maintenance, third-party support, IBM renewals, cost savings, client experience, and how to best handle tactical approaches to IBM contracts. So my name is Tomás O'Leary. I am the CEO of Origina. So we're going to discuss our favorite topic today, IBM. I'm here with my very good friend and colleague, Brendan Walsh. Say hello, Brendan.
Hello, Tomás.
Hello, Brendan. How are you?
I'm not too bad.
It is our favorite topic, isn't it?
It's the only topic.
Well, it's the topic.
Apart from ourselves, of course.
Well, that's true. That's true. We like to talk about ourselves, but today we're going to talk about IBM. And I think we'd like to talk, given the time of year, about IBM year end. It's December, coming up to Christmas. This is the time of year IBM does a huge portion of their business. And we've always asked the question in the IBM world, how is it that they're doing so much business at this time of year and they go to sleep perhaps for other parts of the year? Have you kind of looked at this? Have you thought about it? I mean, I'm in the IBM game for 25 years. You're probably in it not quite as long as me. I'd just be keen to get your view on what you think about this.
Yeah, well, I've been in the software business, as you know, for a long time. Worked for a lot of international software companies. I've even done some work with IBM as an IBM partner at various stages, you know, for some of the companies that I've worked for. And it's always been a curiosity as to why, you know, is so much of the revenue geared towards the year end? You know, why is it left so late? You know, what is wrong with the other quarters? You know, why isn't it spread out? Because any business I've worked for before, the CFO or the FD doesn't like to see a big lump of revenue at the very end of the year. They like to see the revenue spread out across the quarter. So it's always been quite curious to me as to why I think nearly 50% of global revenue from IBM is left until the fourth quarter. So there's got to be something in that. And as a sales guy, I kind of understand it somewhat. But you'd wonder why such a sophisticated, you know, old business still operates this way. You know, it's quite interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you look at IBM's clients as well, you look at them traditionally, I think their year ends are also fall into, in the main, that part of the year to the end of December. So there's probably a kind of a budgeting thing. The customers are probably used to saying, this is the time of year that we are spending the last of our budgets. And the IBM sales guy is turning up like with his hungry look, is the car outside waiting to see what can he take away in the back of the car. Isn't that a kind of...
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Forbes 2000 companies, I suppose 50% of the Forbes 2000 also have a year end at the end of December. So that kind of explains a lot. But the the majority of IBM's business isn't done in the US, it's done internationally. But I guess large organizations, international organizations that IBM typically do business with, yeah, they have a year end as well. And, you know, maybe they're also playing the game with IBM. Maybe they're holding back in their budgets, waiting to see what Christmas incentives will IBM offer them, because they know the game and they know that the sales guys are being incentives to bring in the business, get as much as they can. And so a smart procurement guy is going to hold out, you know. So that's probably an input. And
then so how is it then their numbers are not really, still not coming up to scratch? They've had a massive decline over the last number of years, haven't they? The revenues have changed.
Yeah, I think that's kind of another topic. I mean, it's somewhat related, but yeah, look, you know, looking back at the history, we know from 2011 to 17, 22 consecutive quarters of decline in revenues. I've researched that a little bit as to why that is. I think you have some good ideas. Some of it's related to currency fluctuation, strength or weakening of the dollar. But 22 quarters of revenue decline from 107 billion down to 79 billion. It's not all currency.
No.
So, you know, what's going on in the organization is something definitely we could chat about. But it's still, you know, it still doesn't explain why 50% of the revenue is left at the end of the year. You know, they're kind of two somewhat separate items. You know, a declining company that still seems to operate in very traditional ways when it comes to doing business with its end users.
Yeah, and it's in the news a lot recently. I mean, they bought Red Hat, as we all saw, the $34 billion acquisition for a business that does revenues of $3 billion. So it's not going to add a lot of money to
I'd like to be a Red Hat shareholder, now.
Absolutely.
10 times revenue valuation seems pretty high, and I think there's been a lot of chatter online about that as to whether that's a good valuation or not. Again, as I said, I've worked for a lot of international software businesses selling software and services, and if you got 4 times revenue, you probably walked away pretty happy. So 10 times is a pretty significant number to pay for that, and let's see how that pans out.
Yeah, we got to see what it does to its number. And they've been in the news, even overnight, actually. They've been in the news. They've done another offload of some of their, area that we know very well, or their software business, their legacy software business. They've moved Portal, Commerce, Unica, Big Fix, and AppScan, kind of these products from IBM. They moved those. Domino, and previously Domino and Infomix. They've sold these on to HCL, or have they? There's got a confusion over whether they've actually sold the business. Have they sold the development rights to the business? Because the business revenue still seems to flow through IBM. So we're kind of not sure what the actual deal is. There isn't clarity really on what has actually happened here, because we see it given our own business providing a service to IBM users, asset owners. We see them still, even though this has been going on for a couple of years, companies are still going to IBM and they're doing their renewals with IBM if they're not coming to us.
It's curious. Again, another kind of curiosity as to exactly how that all hangs together. Yeah, clearly HCL are now responsible for the ongoing development of the software. How the revenue flows is not entirely clear. I know from being at the coalface with customers, particularly in this fourth quarter, which is as you know, a busy quarter for IBM, it also tends to translate into a busy quarter for ourselves as clients decide whether or not they're going to renew with IBM or not. And one of the factors in looking at that is, well, who's actually responsible for patches, and who's responsible for upgrades and updates. And if the software isn't actually owned by IBM, or it is owned by IBM and it's with HCL or isn't with HCL, nobody's entirely clear. And certainly from conversations that I've had with end users of Domino, Commerce, Portal, all those products, they weren't actually fully sure as to what was happening until I show them the information or show them the newsreel. So they're saying, but I'm still paying for renewal, which has gone up 10% in my latest renewal notice. Yeah. But yet there's a software not with HCL. So that's very confusing for customers. But when it comes to IBM and confusion, well, that's kind of par for the course, really. It's kind of, it's continuing of the trend of clients getting a little bit confused as to who are they dealing with, what are they buying, how is it transacted, all those kind of confusions are just a trend with IBM that our customers are getting a little bit frustrated by.
We're good at that in the IT industry, though, in general, aren't we? We're good at confusing people. We confuse people in lots of areas. I mean, just looking back at the deal, I've been trying to read overnight what actually have HCL paid $1.8 billion for. I mean, I still haven't managed to figure that out. And as you described what we're seeing on the ground, what we see from those people who are spending the money with IBM after the previous acquisitions, it's just not clear. Neither HCL nor IBM have come out and said exactly. At least with the Red Hat deal, we know what's going on. We know IBM is spending $34 billion to acquire a company, all its assets, all its employees, and move all its revenue. In this situation, HCL are spending apparently $1.8 billion for what? Are they getting the revenue? Are they going to be paid a fee? I mean, IBM did this a number of years ago when they sold their chip business. The rumor was they actually paid the company whose name escapes me. They paid them money to take it off their hands. That was the rumor, because without clarity, this is what you end up with. Now, in a business context, that's fine, I guess. It just allows people to have a conversation. It's not the end of the world. But the other part of what we see in our business, and particularly with IBM, around the contract uncertainty. So this culture of just don't really be clear, create a scenario of confusion just permeates our industry, and it's such a shame, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think it's because the people that our clients are talking to at year end when they're doing the renewals, and when they hear these see these press releases about IBM selling software to HCL, and for 1.8 billion, as I said, and then there's a kind of a sales spin in the article about for a $50 billion market. So they're talking about the market size. So the market size is 1.50 billion. So it's a bit of a sales pitch, to be honest. I didn't quite, and what I didn't read in the article was, well, what are the benefits for the client? So where does the client fit into this when it comes to their usage of these products? Most of which actually they're moving away from, based on what I see in the market. But I think why the client is confused and why there's such obfuscation is that when I'm a client and I'm talking to my rep or my business partner, they don't know. So they're not actually giving the customer good information, and we speak to them and we're able to provide more clarity than they've ever had before. And they see, notices like, save up to 50% on your reinstatement if you reinstate your Domino maintenance. Well, what does that mean? Up to 50%? Is it 50%? It's not clear. It's a bit like selling a hypermarket and seeing a sign saying save up to 50% today. On what products, what are the terms? So I just think there's no clarity in the front line of IBM. The sales guys don't know, the reps don't know, and the clients are being misinformed as to what's going on. And so it's all kind of, again, one part of the same picture that I think we're talking about.
And what does a company, if you've invested in Domino or Infomix or Portal, Commerce, Unica, any of these products, if you've invested your money in them, what do you do? This is the thing. Do you ignore this announcement? Does it matter to you?
You're unsure. I mean,
absolutely.
Take Domino, which has version 10 has recently come out about, I think it was October. It's the first release of Domino by HCL. Now, previously it had been very, certain because of the high quality of software development from IBM in the past that it will be stable, the release will be stable, there will be a certain number of fixed packs every year. What I'm hearing on the ground is, well, this is the first release of a product from IBM, not from IBM. We leave that one behind, but it's from HCL. How can we be certain of the quality? So there's now a reluctance, for you've invested in the product and paid S&S for many years. You're on version 9. That investment is supposed to give you future upgrades and certainty, but actually that certainty has been taken away. People are saying, "Oh, version 10. I'm not sure I like the sound of that. Nobody's moving to it. Let me wait and see." And so that kind of investment dollars that you've spent over the years, the subscription portion, I suppose, of the S&S is now potentially going to go to waste. People are now looking at, maybe I won't move, maybe I should migrate. So, so that's kind of another topic as to why do people continue to pay S&S for years and years and years when actually get nothing out at the end of the day. Going back to the fourth quarter scenario, what's happening is you're being, it's assumed you're going to renew, and then you're being pressurized to renew. You're getting these renewal notices 90 days out. If you don't respond to it, you're auto-renewed. Suddenly you have you're a bad debtor to IBM because you haven't paid so all of that kind of, those games and the pressure and the leverage that IBM put on you at the end of the quarter also doesn't help the clients, So it's just, I don't know, it's a tangled web of deceit and obfuscation and confusion. And it's supposed to be a happy time of the year.
It's Christmas.
And this is a very grim discussion.
It's Christmas. Well, it may not be so grim because if you were an IBM, for the IBM sales reps, I wouldn't like to be working for IBM now when news like this comes out because it does create confusion with your customers. And now you've got an additional thing to explain. Not only do you have to explain your price increases and the fact that your potentially customers are not getting a huge amount of value for many of these services, particularly around the software renewal area, but now you've got to explain what's happening with these products. And there's quite a significant portion of them, many of which have many customers out there who've been using these products for many years. So I wouldn't like to be those guys, but
I hear you saying that you need to explain. The fact is, though, it's not being explained. I mean, nobody knows why. I mean, I don't know why, because I've worked in this industry for a long time. So I know that software gets easier to manage and maintain. And I know the number of support calls goes down as the stability increases. So why does something go up by 10% in a market where, what is that compared to the current inflation rates, globally? It's a multiple of inflation. So it's not to do with inflation. It's not to do with currency fluctuations because currency risk is spread globally. So it's just to do with, I'd hate to say the word greed, but it's crazy. Why does something go up by 10% when actually it should be going down every year? It's getting easier to maintain.
Yes.
It's going up because revenues are declining, and the only way to manage this revenue stream, it's a lovely word, I love an IBM, they call it the stream. And every time you talk to any sales rep or renewals rep, they talk about the stream on which they're measured. The stream has to be maintained for, no reason or any reason. And it's nothing to do with quality, and it's nothing to do with promise. It's just to do with revenue. It's a pure revenue-based increase.
Yeah, and it is a very nice time of the year.
Yeah.
It is Christmas. The good news for all of you IBM customers that are listening, and those people out there who spend money with IBM, there are alternative options, and there's people like Origin out there that you can come to. We are actually coming to the end of our podcast. This is our first time doing this, Brendan, and really, it's great fun. Really enjoyed it. Nice conversation.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. We need to, bring a bit more levity into the next one. But this was a serious topic, and we got a bit morose, I think.
No, I didn't think so. I thought we had a really good, interesting topic conversation there. So, thank you very much, you. Thank you very much, listeners, for everyone listening. We will see you on our next podcast with two Irish guys discussing software. Thank you.